Okay, welcome back to another episode of Do Your Homework, where we help homeowners make decisions. I'm Charles.
And I'm Amy.
Amy, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm
Chilling.
excited.
I have to talk about something important.
Okay.
People have been
serious?
talking about our plant.
Okay. What's up with the plant?
People have said that our plant is half dead.
I don't think
And
so.
I strongly disagree.
Yeah, I disagree.
This is a thriving plant.
Thriving. And I think it looks great. I think every room needs a little bit of greenery.
There's a
and
little thing.
this is our greenery in our office.
This
And
is
it's
the
been
one
here-
piece that is dead.
It's been here for a long time. I feel like it's part of the office.
Yeah, and it started, honestly, it used to be like this big, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's cascading and beautiful and thriving.
I think it's a wonderful addition, and we should keep it.
Yeah. It's not going anywhere.
Let us know what you think.
Let us know if you think this is thriving or half dead.
Yes.
I vote thriving.
And then tell us your thoughts on greenery and offices.
So
The important things.
I just had to get that off my chest. It's
Okay,
been
I
weighing
gotcha.
on my
I
heart,
gotcha.
you know,
No, I get it.
because the people are speaking about it.
Okay, the people have opinions.
And I won't call anybody out, but I'll tell you after.
Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. So today we have a whirlwind of a topic.
Yeah, we want to talk about
Hurricanes.
like hurricanes. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many things to talk about with hurricanes.
Yes. Also, as you and I both being born and raised Floridians,
Dude.
we have good hurricane stories.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that too. Is like my perspective on hurricanes.
Yeah.
Is still a childish perspective.
Oh, I thought the same thing.
So like we're both relatively new homeowners. So I think of hurricanes, I think of parties.
Same. I think of hurricanes, and I think I'm not going to go to school, even though I haven't been to school for years. I'm like excited for hearing that school's closed.
The what?
Like school's closed. I'm like
School's
excited
closed.
to like turn on the news
I
and be
know
like,
that, yeah.
you know, Orange County schools are closed for the rest of the week, and I'm like, what a
Like,
joy.
yes. I'm like, you're not going to go.
Doesn't apply to me.
I immediately think my dad's going to be grilling.
Yeah.
My mom's probably going to be making mojitos.
Mm.
And we're going to be chilling. It's going to be like an adventure.
Yeah.
Obviously, as a kid, you have no responsibilities. I'm sure my parents were stressed. They were like buying waters and stuff.
No, I don't think my parents were ever stressed.
I don't think, honestly, I take it back. My parents were not stressed.
My parents have never been stressed. I think that I'm sure so my parents, and I'm sure your parents were here too. Like my parents were here for Hurricane Andrew,
Yeah.
which was devastating.
My mom was pregnant
to South Florida. No, Pam was already born. My sister was already born. I wasn't born yet, but she was already
My
born.
mom was pregnant with me, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
So, and even then, whenever they tell stories about Hurricane Andrew, they really only talk about the aftermath and how kind of difficult it was, just like having to go back to their home and everything being destroyed. But they never really talk about leading up to it being stressed.
Yeah.
Like they were just like, all right, we're going to go to our friend's house and
figure it out.
that's it. Like there wasn't much.
I always felt like it was so exciting to see what happened.
Yes.
Like I remember it's like ride your bike around the neighborhood and you're like, that tree fell. You're like, this is down. You're like, oh, look at this puddle. I need to stay away from it because the news tells you that you're going to get shocked. I'm like skirting my bike around it.
Yeah, or there's going to be alligators in there.
Something
crazy.
But
I loved going into like if it flooded, it was like that was super exciting. Like, all right, we would go in my dad's Jeep.
Yeah, my mom had a 4Runner. We'd like drive around. Like, we're seeing what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
We lost a big tree in our front yard one year, and it was just like, even for months and months after, like coming home from school and you're like, wow, it looks so different. Like our house has completely changed.
Oh,
Luckily, it didn't fall on our house. Like, obviously that's not fun.
Very lucky.
But it was just like such an exciting change. Like you're a kid, you see this house every day, and now it's completely different. Another year we lost our screen over the back like porch, and then my parents decided not to put it back up because we're like, this is kind of nice. It's open, you know what I mean?
Thank you, Hurricane.
We're like, that's the design touch we needed. Thanks, Wilma.
Like somebody who doesn't trim their trees.
Yeah.
And a hurricane comes and there are trees.
Like,
They're like, okay,
that
thank
is
you.
better.
Thank you for taking care of that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's something about growing up in Florida that I don't know if that's ever going to go away. Just like that childlike joy of just, this is like, you don't really understand that this is a serious problem. You're just excited.
It's exciting
to not go to school. You're excited to go to the grocery store with your mom and buy a bunch of ridiculous things.
And like now, well, when I was in college in Jacksonville, we had a hurricane that we all stayed for.
Mm-hmm.
Probably Matthew, something like that.
Could be, yeah.
And I remember, and we had a pretty big house. Me and my roommates, there was like 5 of us, and we invited friends over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you guys want to chill during the weekend? We went to Publix, got like all the snacks, like the stuff you'd never eat. We got toaster strudels, like freaking like all the
calories
cereals
don't count.
and like
calories don't count when you're hunkering down.
Dude,
we
were hunkered down, and we didn't end up not losing power at all. So it was just like a huge sleepover.
Yeah.
As like 21-year-olds, like 22-year-olds, like, you should not be having a sleepover.
Exactly.
It was like, this is kind of nice.
It is, and I think that creates a real sense of community. I really do think that there's something about that only living in Florida, or I'm sure other places have similar, like snow days or something. But it creates a real sense of community where it's like we're all in this together.
We're in it together.
Like it's if you're prepping your house for a hurricane, your neighbors are doing the same thing.
That and like, hey, if I have extra sandbags, here you go.
Exactly.
And like you have this, I don't know, tree in your yard. I have a chainsaw. Let me help you out. Or I'm sure with the snow people, like you said, somebody has a better snowplow and they just help the neighbors out.
Exactly.
Hey, we're grilling burgers. You want to come over?
Yeah.
I know you lost power because I lost power.
Exactly.
I have this grill I want to try out. I've been waiting.
Yeah, I will say it does really foster that sense of community when you're all panicking together.
They need to do like a hurricane sale, like grills, fire pits.
The fun stuff. Yeah, I mean, people always talk about the hurricane snacks. Like you were saying, you get like a ridiculous amount of snacks and you eat them all within like the first hour. Because hurricanes move slow. Before
the hurricane hits, you're done.
Yes.
Snacks.
What was it? Do you remember Dorian?
What was Dorian?
Dorian was, I can't remember what year it was. I want to say it was like 2019 or something. I just remember that.
I was here though.
You were here, but it was like the slowest moving hurricane of all time. So
that's the one that sat over the Bahamas?
Yes. Yeah. It sat over the Bahamas for like
which
days,
is wild.
Which was crazy, but what the craziest part was the waiting period, because the whole state of Florida was in the forecast cone for days and days. So everybody was thinking it's gonna come any day now. And we were just waiting. You
can't be like, hey, it's slow, we're gonna go into the office today. It's like, no, because it could come at lunch. It didn't, but it could have.
It didn't, yeah. It could.
So we're in this limbo. I remember.
Dorian was crazy. Honestly, they all have been crazy. Every single storm that I can remember has some kind of like weird factor to it. Either it was slow, it was much more intense than we anticipated. I remember that for Katrina in South Florida. That was a crazy storm.
Dude, this is bad. This is not good advice.
We'll cut this out.
Me and my mom used to go outside, like during it, like in the backyard.
Oh no!
You put like a freaking like rain jacket on, and we'd be like, "Wow, it's really strong this time!" Like you feel the wind.
Yeah.
And then you're like, "All right, let's go inside." And then also in the eye, it was always fun to go out during the eye because then you kind of see what's happening. And you're like, "Oh, that tree's leaning. I hope it doesn't fall." Or you kind of like, I don't know. It's a halftime.
Correct.
It's a literal halftime.
Halftime. I remember I feel like I've told you this story for Irma. I was at my sister's house, and that was one that came overnight. But we ended up staying up like almost all night. So it's like 2:00 in the morning, and her and I are just like sitting on the stairs and like watching the news. We're like, what's going on? And then we suddenly see that her front door is like definitely coming in, and we're like, that doesn't look good.
Yeah.
So her husband comes and they both are like trying to see what's going on with the door. But in hindsight, I'm like, they probably shouldn't have done anything.
Get away from the door.
They probably shouldn't have done anything and just be like, let the door do what it's gonna do and we'll deal with it at another time. But yeah, they definitely tried to address it in the moment, which is another tip. Don't try to address anything in the moment. Nothing in the moment. Whatever happens, happens. And that's it. You'll figure it out once the storm has passed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a friend that is an insurance agent. She has home insurance. And she was telling me something one time, which I never thought of. But she was saying it's a good idea to just go through your house and just like take your phone and record a video of all your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, yeah, phones are good now. It's really clear, blah, blah.
Yes.
But I guess for your property on the inside, like your TV, couch.
Sure.
You record the conditions, so you just kind of go around. That way, if you do have anything, like water comes in and ruins your floors, your baseboards, you have a documentation of it. I was like, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
I was like, what are the snacks? I
What
kind
are
of
the
want.
snacks?
Should we get chips, queso, and salsa, or just salsa?
I know your priorities really change once you're. Also, I think your priorities change depending on the severity of the storm.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and I think that
the projection,
and also just the actual severity,
and
the category of the storm. Because if you tell Floridians a tropical storm is coming, this is a party.
Let's go to the beach.
Exactly. We're gonna have a good time. But if you tell people, hey, this is a category 4, that's wild. Category 4, category 5, things that require evacuation, you're gonna take it a bit more seriously. But on that note, I would say the biggest thing that you can do now, or like maybe the easiest thing that you can do now, is that documentation.
Yeah.
And another thing too is like almost thinking about what is actually going to matter in the event of a storm, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like document your ceilings, even though you may forget that part, but actually take a look around at all your ceilings. Make sure you have either pictures or video, whatever, of what your ceilings look like. Same thing with flooring.
Mm-hmm.
And also like something for reference, right? So you can know, oh, the water came this high or something. Yeah. So think about that whenever you're actually getting this documentation. It's not just about, this is the layout of my house. Like, yeah.
No. It's the conditions. Yeah.
Correct. It's the conditions.
And what's in it, and yeah.
Correct. And also, when you do that and you're going through it with the eye of considering potential damage, you can also take that same time to move things out of the way. So if you know that your nice TV is right next to a window, maybe move it a little bit closer or further away from the window. Or just, again, if you go through your entire house and audit thinking, okay, where is potential damage, potential weaknesses, like windows, doors.
Your front door is already wobbly.
The front door, sorry. That was funny. Yes, but yeah, so that's exactly it. No, but I remember, there's a lot of people who like put their desk right up against a window or something.
Yeah.
Like, okay, maybe your computer.
MacBook, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think most people don't notice things until there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to, some things are obvious,
mm-hmm.
but something like a small stain on your ceiling, like, was that there before? Is it new? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know what I should do about it.
Mm-hmm. Also, if you still have things like popcorn ceilings, I've noticed.
First of all, why do you have popcorn ceilings?
Great question. Great question.
I hate popcorn.
But they're really popular and
yeah.
No pun intended.
But also with popcorn ceilings, nobody does them now. So if you get damage to your popcorn ceiling, good luck doing a small repair.
Yeah.
Because nobody does them. If you get a repair popcorn ceiling, it's going to be knocked down, and you're going to have like a square of knockdown.
Oh, you probably have to do the whole room.
You might as well just do the whole room.
Yeah, but what I was going to say with popcorn ceilings, if you still have them, sometimes I've seen they like collect dust in a way that causes discoloration.
Yeah.
So it may not be a leak. It may just be discoloration because of it collecting dust.
Especially in bathrooms.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot where you go into a bathroom and it looks like not yellowish, but just like a slightly discolored. And people say, "Isn't that a leak?" It's like, no, it's just discoloration. But
your house is dirty.
Your house is dirty, but it's really hard to clean popcorn ceilings.
Yeah,
it's really hard to do that. So just something to think about.
Yeah, it's and I go to a lot of people's houses, and a lot of people point things out to me that they notice.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even times where, as they're walking me through their house, because we're looking at their ceiling to see where leaks are and where they aren't, they discover something new.
Oh, yeah.
As I'm there. It's like, even when you look, a lot of people don't look very thoroughly.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say intentionally.
Intentionally is the word.
Yeah.
Which is why the video is best, because the video is just going to capture it all, and you can look at it again and again and again, zoom in, screenshot, whatever you need to do, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, what I would say is, because sometimes, again, us being in the roofing space, sometimes people don't know, but if you look at your roof, there's a lot of what people think are pipes and vents up there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are all connected to something inside your house.
Yeah.
So those vents, right, are either going to be in your bathroom or your kitchen or your dryer.
Mm-hmm.
Those are vulnerabilities on your roof.
Yeah.
So if you have water come in, it's probably going to be in one of those three places. Same thing with your plumbing pipes. Plumbing pipes are always in bathrooms.
Yeah.
So
bathroom and kitchen.
It's a good idea to have a general idea of okay, I have 2 vents, 2 plumbing pipes. So you kind of know. And I say this because sometimes when people have a water stain shortly after a storm, they think their roof is actually leaking, but it's just because water came in through those penetrations.
Especially attic vents.
Or an attic ventilation
that's going straight
too.
into your attic,
and
depending on where it is, it can just fall right in the ceiling.
Yeah, exactly. So not that you really need to this isn't an action item necessarily, but I do think it's a good idea to have a general sense of where the vulnerabilities are on your roof, so that if you do have a water stain or you have something, you are a little bit more familiar as to what is probably just rain that came in or what could actually be an actual leak.
Yeah, and we obviously get a lot of calls, people stains on their ceilings, and they have brand new roofs from us, and it's 9 times, almost all the time. It's almost 100%. I don't want to say 100% because you never know.
You never know.
But it's pretty much always that you have wind-driven rain in your attic vent.
Yeah.
And
it's always in the same spot. It's always where, you can easily point out to the homeowner, you see that ridge, you see your water stain, they're in alignment.
I go in your attic,
yeah,
and I find the stain, and I look up, and there's a attic vent.
Yeah.
Which, there's some things you can do, even for those.
The pool noodles.
You can stick a pool noodle if you feel comfortable getting on your roof.
If you feel comfortable, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't go on your roof if you don't feel comfortable.
I know. I'm always wary of giving people that advice, because the truth is, you just really shouldn't be getting on your roof for so many different reasons. First of all, your roofs are not designed to be walkable. Unless it's like a contractor actually going up there. But as a homeowner, it's not designed to be walkable for you. And also just a safety concern. Your roof is at least, 10 feet off the ground? At least.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So a fall from that is it could be a bigger deal. Yeah.
Yeah. But I get it though. People get really anxious and worried, and you're just I gotta do it.
Yeah.
And I think people put themselves in a lot of risky situations to do. When you rush and cut this limb, I can't find somebody to do it. I'm just gonna do it myself, and things can happen.
Tree trimming is actually extremely dangerous.
So wildly dangerous.
Yeah, tree trimming is really dangerous. So that's another idea too. What you can do now is you can make a list of these small repairs that you can, hire somebody to do. So take a look at your tree limbs, take a look if anything needs to be cut back. Consider if you want to do any kind of protection to your roof, like the pool noodles, and then hire somebody to do that, just so you don't have to get on the roof to do it.
I think tree trimming is number one. Is especially at the beginning of the year, just start off the year fresh slate.
Yeah.
There's no pressure, nothing's coming for months.
Yeah.
I mean, we're closer to it now, so it's a little bit more, on a time crunch, but it's still not, we have a system coming next week.
Yeah.
You can probably get somebody within the next 2 weeks.
Probably. I actually haven't looked at the forecast in a while. Is there anything forming?
Not that I'm aware of. There was something in the Gulf.
There was,
I think it was going like Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear much about it.
Yeah. I knew there was something, but it was just going to bring rain. Like, it wasn't actually going to develop into anything, but just a lot of rain.
Yeah.
But important to keep an eye out.
But yeah, trim your trees. And then also, like, not only you don't want to mess, but that tree limb can hit your house, fall on your roof, hit a window, hit your car. Like, where are you going to park your car? I try to park as close to the house as possible because my truck doesn't fit in the garage.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like inches away from my garage.
Yeah.
I just want to be as far away from anything as possible. We don't have that many trees, just like a palm tree in the front.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of like in my neighborhood, people park on the road a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of big trees like at other houses. And I'm just like, it's kind of risky.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all of these things are things that you can start making a list of. And that's part of the list, right, is what is your plan?
Mm-hmm.
What's your plan for parking your cars? What's your plan for outdoor furniture? Securing certain things, too. Like, if you don't plan on moving something or putting something inside from your backyard, how do you plan on securing it? Mm-hmm. There's honestly a lot to do.
Yeah.
And I can understand how it can be a bit overwhelming.
It can be.
In the sense of, what are you really preparing for? Like, until something actually forms, you feel like, what am I actually preparing for? What if nothing comes? But I would say that the hurricane season is long, right? Like, we're still in June, and we're technically still in hurricane season until November. So if there's things that you can do now, it's just going to make it easier in the event that something shows up.
And this is not a good thing about Florida culture. But it's definitely a thing amongst Floridians that I've always known or like noticed that it's kind of like people like to be the person that didn't do anything and the hurricane's not that bad and they're like, see, I told you.
Oh yeah.
But it's such a risky game to play and then like what's really the payoff?
Yeah.
Like so many people are like, yeah, they say it's bad, but I've been through so many of these. I'm just gonna hunker down. Hunker down is like a mantra among Floridians. I remember when I was renting houses, we were calling people like show them houses, and it'd be like we're gonna get a storm next week. Mm-hmm. So we'd cancel showing sometimes, or like yeah, we're not showing this week because the storm's coming, blah blah. Yeah, I would have conversations with these people, and the vast majority, a lot of them would be like, yeah, we're just going to hunker down. And then in the office, we would play this game of how many times you can say hunker down for somebody. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, how's it going? You want to see this house? Okay, yeah. So, yeah, we're going to hunker down this week. So we might not be able to show Friday, but we can go Tuesday. It's like, all right, you got to go hunker down. You're like trying to like rack like points. Who can say hunker down more?
That's funny.
But yeah, it's definitely a thing. There's a culture in Florida of just, nah, it's fine.
I mean, there's a culture in Florida of just not taking it seriously.
Anything seriously.
Anything. Yes. COVID.
Yep.
Great example.
Yes.
The best
literally
example.
When we're supposed to hunker down, we're like, I don't want to hunker down now.
Oh yeah, yeah. You told Floridians to hunker down outside of hurricane season. They're like, no, does not compute. I don't know what that means. No.
Yeah, just stay inside. Social distance. Like
no.
What?
No, need to be outside. Need to be close to everybody I can possibly can.
Yeah, yeah. Florida has a culture of underestimating everything.
Yes, yes. Everything is not that serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like to some degree, it's something you've experienced so many times, especially you're from here, your whole life. Like you can't remember a time that there wasn't hurricanes. And correct. Some people have some bad stories of what's happened to them, but a lot of people don't.
A lot of people don't.
And they're just like, yeah.
I've been in Florida my whole life, and I don't have a story where something tragic happened. Nothing. Not a single one. Not a single one ever even caused damage to, like, the home I was living in at the time. My parents' house never. This was obviously I wasn't there for Andrew, but like they never had damage to the home. I haven't had damage to any of my homes. Like it's not something I've experienced. But I will say I feel like I'm kind of in the middle where, yes, I'm a Floridian, so there's always going to be that touch of like whatever. But I do also understand that you do want to be cautious. You do want to be careful.
Yeah.
You do want to be ready. Like every hurricane that we have been, or at least Orlando has been in the cone, I have somewhat prepared for. Like I definitely go out and buy food and just general um, water, batteries.
So
like I have a flashlight in my
water,
nightstand.
Oh yeah,
You know,
I have flashlight scattered.
Yeah, exactly.
Still there.
Yeah.
They and with water, people love getting like the packs of bottles of water.
Mm-hmm.
But you were saying the other day, we were kind of talking about it.
Yeah.
Like that's not the only water you need.
Correct.
Like if you legitimately are like without power or anything, yeah, you need to drink water. And there's like you can kind of figure out this is how much each person might have per day, blah blah. But it's like, what if you need to shower?
Yeah.
What if you? Yeah, there's other things. And yeah, you probably don't want to be showered the little like bottles.
Can you imagine they buying like those tiny like the mini
party bottles?
water bottles? Come on, yeah, that's a great point. And I would say this is going to be specific to every family. Ask yourself what you use water for. One day, 24-hour period, audit your water use.
Yep.
So if my audit water use is going to look way different than my sisters, right, who have 2 kids each. Or one of them who has a baby still, like, yeah, you're bathing your baby or you're making formula. Ask like that, all of those things use water.
For the formula, it's like I have my drinking water, but technically there's my food water. Like I need to feed my baby with this water plus formula or whatever it is.
Yeah. So audit how you use water, and then you'll realize that maybe those tiny little water bottles are not going to be good for you. And also ask yourself how much water you realistically drink. Because I have, again, when people go out and buy the hurricane supplies and they buy so much water, like there's no way you actually consume that much water. Now I understand that the advice is usually, you don't know how long power is going to be out, or you don't know. I understand. You can buy water if you really need to, but you can always fill up containers you have at home. How many water bottles do you have at home? Fill them all up. That's
while you still have power,
while you still have power.
Fridge water.
And any kind of water, I'm sure you have a pitcher, right? So,
because if you're talking about bathing water too, it can be the sink water.
Yeah. So fill up a pitcher of water, and then there you go. That's what you use to shower, bathe your baby, whatever you need to do. I'm just saying, everybody's needs are different,
And so, like, when you think about all the things that can happen, it's probably a good idea to have a list of people you can call if worst case scenario does.
Ooh, I love that question, because what phone numbers do you really need?
Yeah.
Like, really ask yourself, what phone number do I really need? Do I okay, so you're probably going to need, I would say, a personal contact, right?
Yes.
Like somebody to hey, like I would probably put like my parents, right? Like, hey, let me contact my parents. I know I'm fine, and then I'm covered there.
Make sure they're fine. Make sure you're fine.
Make sure they're fine,
right? Do you need anything? Do I need anything?
Correct.
Can we reasonably get it to each other?
Correct. So like your loved ones, as I would say, right? Because whoever that may be for you, have a list of phone numbers for your loved ones. Emergency services. Okay, I don't think you need to write that down, but if you forget, emergency services are always available. Next, insurance agent. You should have your insurance agent's phone number on that list, just in case you have a question about potential damage, potential repairs. And I mean, we know some awesome agents that will go out to your home and assess the damage like the day after a storm. I've seen it. And I was surprised, saying, geez, you're there the day after the storm. And they're like, yeah, this is what we do. This is important to us.
And that's like something to consider when you are finding an insurance company. You're not really getting the company, you're getting the agent. Yeah. So like, whether it's State Farm, Allstate, whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah, it's a brand name. That's cool. That's nice. But who is my actual agent, and what do I get from them as far as how invested they are in their customers? Yeah. Because one Allstate agent to the next, it could be a world of a difference as far as response and the actual care that they take care of. Like, how much they actually care about people.
For sure. For sure.
Because I mean, we see it all the time where businesses operate the way that they want to, and that may not be what you want them to do.
Yeah.
Right. So
for sure.
It's an investment money, but also like the trust and the security with the person that ultimately you might need them to take care of you.
Yeah. I mean, and this is interesting because it almost circles back to our first podcast, right? About like the problem. So ask yourself, like, if you're the kind of person who you know you have really bad storm anxiety, right? Mm-hmm. And then let's play out the scenario. You're a person with bad storm anxiety. A storm actually comes. You have damage to your home. Do you really want to call a 1-800 number and deal with somebody, you know, who has no idea what's going on in your neighborhood? Or do you want to pick up your phone and call your agent who is, you know, 3 miles away from you and says, hey, like, Amy, it's okay. You know, we're here for you. Like, what do you need? What happened? Tell us what happened. Which one sounds more comforting?
Yeah.
You know, which one sounds like, okay, that is definitely going to ease my anxiety over like, okay, now I got to call this 1-800 number. I have to go through all these prompts and then eventually talk to somebody who knows where. Ask yourself if that's important to you. Now, if you don't care about that process, if you don't care about that 1-800 number, sure, go for it. But if you're like, no, that personal touch is really going to matter to me, really think about that when you're buying home insurance.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. Because you're not thinking, I mean, the anxiety is a problem right now because you're experiencing it, but you kind of have to think about what could be my problem.
Yeah.
What could become a problem. I know I have this tree. Mm-hmm. I should probably know a good tree guy.
Yeah.
Like if I'm not on top of it now, I should probably start.
Yeah.
I should start doing like preventative things or just regular maintenance. And that just comes back to having a process for your home in general. Like,
yeah,
there are maintenance items that you should be keeping up with. And if you have a bigger problem, the person that's been helping you with it is the best person to help you make a big fix.
Right.
In a lot of cases. Within reason, you know, that your handyman, you don't want him to like redo your whole siding.
Right.
But at least he might know somebody that does that.
For sure.
And your insurance agent might definitely know somebody that does that because they have to deal with all the time with other customers of theirs.
Yep. But I think that's actually a really good point too, which is another thing that, again, I don't want to make it seem like you need to overwhelm yourself with information to prepare for hurricane season, but there are some people that have no idea the composition of their home. Zero. There are people who have no idea if they have siding, stucco, if they have fascia covers, if they have soffits. Like, people just have no idea. But if you just take up, 10, 15 minutes of your time, familiarize yourself with the composition of your home. If you see something on your home that you don't know what it's called, look it up.
Yeah.
So you know.
Well, you can take a picture of it now and like AI will tell you exactly
Google
what it is.
The Google search picture is the coolest feature. I don't use it all the time, but when I've had used it, I am like blown away. Like, I love image search. Like, you literally just point your camera, like, tell me what plant this is.
Is it thriving?
Yeah. Let's ask Google if our plant is thriving. That's what we should do.
We'll see what the answer is. I bet it is.
But that's actually, I love that suggestion for homeowners. Like, look at your house and be like, I don't know what that's called.
Boom.
What is it called? It's soffit. Okay, cool. Now I know. When you call your agent, hey, my soffit is damaged. Okay, cool. Thank you. Now I know more information.
And they have their list of contractors. Here's the guy that does soffit.
Yeah.
We use them all the time.
Exactly.
Like, great.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's a great thing to do because in that moment of panic where you're like, I don't know, there's like this part missing of my house. It's like, okay, what is the part that's missing from your house?
Yeah.
Learn the composition of your house. Or again, that happens too sometimes when people are like, I need the siding repaired on my house. Like, are you sure you have siding? Not every house has siding. Are you sure that's what
I'm on Google Maps right now and it doesn't look like this.
Yeah, we're like, I'm in front of your house and I don't see the siding.
Yeah.
And then the whole time they just meant stucco.
And it's like, okay, I don't do stucco, I do siding.
Correct.
Like the person
that matters. Yeah, that matters.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, not to overwhelm people, but just some general tips on how to familiarize yourself with the composition of your house, what type of house you actually have, and the different components of it.
And it's not fair to expect people to become experts. Like, even yeah, we know roofing. We know a lot about roofing, but we don't. I'm not an expert in everything else, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But just have a general sense of what it is, but also what should I do about it now?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of that, like, I have this issue and I need to replace the whole thing, and there's water coming in. But honestly, what can you do now to stop the water? Like, that's the more pressing issue. And what can hold you over for days or weeks to prevent it from getting worse?
Mm-hmm.
And then as you get the time for the appropriate person to come out to actually address it. So, like, siding as an example, what can I put something up on it now to just cover it?
Mm-hmm.
That way water doesn't hit like the wood behind the siding.
Sure.
And then I can and then it relieves the pressure, and I can actually talk to the siding people and pick who I want, because I feel like a lot of homeowners, they just get anybody, and you end up with the person that you probably wouldn't have gone with under normal circumstances. Like, probably not a good fit for you, but you're just like, they're here and they can do it. But it's kind of like,
you don't want to be making major hiring decisions or contracting decisions under pressure, right?
Never.
Yeah, which is again back to our list, right? That you're creating. Have some contractors that you know you're comfortable with, that they're not just that panic moment hire, people that you've worked with before.
I think there's a lot of room for improvement with like real estate agents, as far as educating their customers. Like, we know some really good real estate agents here, and like AJ, when we bought our house, he connected me with a septic guy, because he's like, you have a septic tank. This is what this entails. Like, there's certain maintenance things that you do with septic tank. Here's a guy I use, and I'm gonna have him come out here, do an inspection, make sure it's good before you close. So like, now, if I ever have a problem with my septic tank, hopefully I don't, but at least I know that guy, and he's actually been to my house already before I even bought it. So
yeah, kudos to AJ, because even just pointing out that you have a septic tank, I feel like sometimes people really just don't know. They have no idea that they have a septic tank.
I have homeowners that I meet with all the time that have no idea what they got themselves into when they bought their house.
Again, back to just the composition of your house. People just have no idea. And it's not that you have to become a builder, to be a homeowner. You don't. But a good realtor might point you in the right direction, or
a good realtor and a good home inspector. Like, Devin is a really great home inspector. Tommy was really good when he was still doing it.
Yeah.
And I still have the email that I got from him of like pictures and descriptions, and like, hey, these are some pressing things, and we did those immediately when we moved in. But here's some things to keep an eye on. Like, your water heater is not super old, but I see a little whatever here.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on it. So I have like a point of reference of my potential problem.
Yeah.
Septic obviously was one for us. And yeah, if you're going into a home, you're becoming a homeowner for the first time, and you feel clueless, that's not a good thing. And like, you don't know what you don't know, but if you have this feeling of, I have no idea, I can tell you now, that's not a good spot to be in. You have to have some sort of general sense.
You should, if you're buying a house, you should know almost a general idea of what your maintenance schedule looks like. Like, you should know what your top priority is, and you should know how far away that is. So if you just bought a house and it was built in like 2005, as an example, if the AC hasn't already been replaced, you probably know that's coming really soon. Same thing with the roof. That roof hasn't been replaced, that's coming soon. But I feel like oftentimes people buy the house, and obviously it's such an exciting moment and you're kind of caught up in the joy of it, but you forget to think about like that maintenance schedule. Like, okay, what should I be prioritizing? What comes first? But while you were saying that, I was thinking, I wonder, maybe we can ask our home inspector friends, as we know a few, if there is some kind of home inspection that you can do before hurricane season. Just something that kind of says, hey, that's a vulnerability, that's a potential hazard. You do that. Because again, like, what we've talked about a lot is that sometimes homeowners, it's just overwhelming. It just is. You're looking at this house, and it's like, if you really break it apart, it's so many different pieces.
Yeah, and there's some good examples of homeowners, like responsible homeowners. Like I know your mom, I was talking to her about it, and she was like, I don't remember the month, but let's just say November. Every November, I had the AC guy come out and like inspect it, flush it, whatever it is. And I'm like, that's a good idea.
For sure.
And so I started doing that. And yeah, you kind of get, especially before summer, you know, before it gets super hot, like I know my AC is pretty solid.
Yeah.
It just got flushed out a couple months ago. He told me everything's like, he plugs up all the things. And he's like, yeah, this is your range. You're right in that range. It's performing good, blah, blah. It's not getting overwhelmed. Just change the filter. And he flushed it out. He had this like adapter that he's like hooked up to the PVC pipe on the outside and flushed it out. And he's like, yeah, this is what I use. Here's the Amazon link.
Nice.
Like, you can do it.
Yeah.
Like, dang. And it's like $10.
Perfect.
You have to have a shop vac, which I don't have, and I'll probably get on Amazon too. But yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, what's a good shop vac?
I know, what's a good shop? You should go to Home Depot and see all the different options they have.
I'll probably go to Home Depot.
I know. Do you know what your problem you're trying to solve is with that shop vac?
It is, I want to use it for my AC.
Okay.
Which is not very frequent.
Okay.
I don't want a huge one.
Okay.
So one of my problems is storage. We have a one-car garage. I can't fit that many things.
So it does have to be small.
I don't know if Milwaukee has one. Budget.
Is this your forever shop vac?
It's not.
This is your starter shop vac.
This is my starter shop vac.
Okay.
So I would say budget. I could spend. I don't want to spend more than $200.
Okay. All right. So you've got your budget. You've got your problem. It's really just the AC, it sounds like.
And like,
what else would you use it for?
Other things like random stuff, a spill, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to be able to, something spills in my car, I can use it maybe.
A shop vac though?
I don't know. Like something in the garage. If I'm working on stuff in the garage, sawdust everywhere. Like I cut random projects. I cut wood in the garage.
Okay.
I
mean, it seems like you kind of just need a basic starter.
Very basic. I'm not gonna be using it every day.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. Then I really think you are, and you have enough to go into Home Depot and not get overwhelmed by the number of shop vacs that are there and confidently make a decision.
I just need to execute.
Yeah, I don't think you should buy it on
Amazon. All right, I won't. I won't. But the part I have to buy on Amazon.
Oh yeah, right.
But whatever. That's like I said, like a $5-10 part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about this, I don't feel like I would go to Home Depot and feel overwhelmed, but there is a sense of it just got cleaned, and I don't feel pressed to get it. But I should get it now. You should
absolutely get it now. Because
I didn't know this was going to be an intervention.
This is a podcast for decision making.
Yeah.
We're going to help each other make these big decisions, like your shop vac, which is such an integral part of your life.
This episode is brought to you by Shop Vac.
I remember one time we had a very unfortunate situation at a project where it was just a very, very horrible leak that ended up happening at this homeowner's house, or at this house, and we had to get a shop vac, and I was the one tasked in going to buy the shop vac.
Get a shop vac.
I had to, because we had to, clean up this leak.
Yeah.
So I remember going, and I'm pretty sure I asked my dad, like, what do I buy? And he told me, and I just went and immediately got that. And then I, after, we cleaned up the mess, my dad was like, just keep it. That can
You have it?
No.
Oh. Can I have?
I'll
buy your shop vac over
I know. It got lost along the way. So, but I remember never using it again, ever again, because I thought, again, it was such a specific thing that we needed it for.
You also got it for somebody else.
And I
So
think
there was no, at least in your mind at that time, a practical use for you at your house.
Correct.
Which there is some.
Yeah.
You just weren't aware of it, or maybe you didn't need it at that time. I don't know.
But even today, I would say I can't remember the last time I thought we really need a shop vac. I just really can't. So, anyways, all that to say, you sounds like you need a shop vac. Yeah. But based off my experience and the fact that I've already had one, lost it, and never needed to replace it, I probably don't need one.
Yeah.
So sometimes, again, for you, maybe this is super important to have in your household. For me, it's not.
And that's
a lot of things like that.
I'm only thinking about it for the AC. You don't have to do your own AC, flushing out of the condensation.
You just hire somebody.
Yeah. But I watch it do it. It's so easy.
Yeah. I've actually never seen like what they do with like the AC maintenance. I know we had it done recently, but I wasn't there.
Mm.
So I don't really know.
I watched him do the whole time. He opened up everything on the inside. He plugged up, his wires and stuff to make sure, I don't know, the outputs. He said some technical stuff. I'm not going to do that part, but like on the outside, and I've done this before where you open it up and like there's like a spray you can clean down the coils, just flows better and all that kind of stuff. Did that and flushed out the drain line. Okay. Because if the drain line gets backed up, then water like goes back into the inside unit and then it's just not flowing.
Gotcha.
And then you get a bunch of condensation on the inside, which we would get. And it just like gets overwhelmed. Like it's suffocating it.
Interesting. Okay, so AC maintenance is important.
Yes. Yeah. And just knowing who to call.
That list is really important. That list is super important. And you can do that. Actually, a good time to do that is while you're documenting the current condition of your house, because then you start to think of, well, what are my vulnerabilities in my house, right? So if it floods, I would need flooring. Also, mold remediation. Like, who actually comes into your house when it gets flooded and you need to dry it out? That's a different vendor. So maybe find somebody who does that. I forget what that specific service is called. But I know that like mold remediation would be the people to call.
There's like remediation companies.
Yeah.
And it's like mold and some other things, like just moisture, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just like you'll hear somebody like, I do remediation.
Yes.
I just do it all.
Yeah. That's who to call in the event that your house gets flooded and you need to dry it out. So again, and I know that recently. Sorry, I know that I know last storm here in Orlando there was a lot of flooding and in areas that weren't considered flood zones. So I would say like just because you're not in a flood zone doesn't mean that your house isn't going to flood, right? There's no guarantees.
You know what I also heard somebody talking about, one of our insurance friends, is flood coverage is kind of like iffy. And one of the things is if you're in a flood zone, yes, but also the cause of the flooding. And if anybody else experienced it on your street, like your immediate neighbors, if you're the only one that experienced it, there's a situation, like, I don't remember the details, but there's a situation where it doesn't get covered. Whether it's
almost like if it starts within the house. I've heard this before. There's like if it started within the house or if it started outside the house. If there are at least 2-3 houses in your neighborhood that experience the same flooding. Yeah.
If there's a drain on your street and that gets clogged, that's a different path.
Really?
Because I think technically it's a city.
But then the city would cover your damage?
I don't know.
It's tricky.
Maybe, but there's especially in Florida and especially the way homeowner insurance in general is operating right now, there's a lot of loopholes, I guess a good way to say it, where you can end up not actually getting coverage.
Well, and that's where I would really want to ask this question to one of our insurance friends, right? Like, where does insurance draw the line and FEMA picks up? because
Mhm.
there's I like, because of all the storms that we've been through, even working here with roofing, I get a lot. You get a lot of calls of people working with FEMA,
Yeah.
and they're getting their roof covered by FEMA. And I've always wondered, it's like, why didn't your insurance cover it? Maybe
Yeah.
did you not have the coverage, or is FEMA really just
Maybe.
is FEMA a grant? Again, these are things that
Yeah, is
that
FEMA
we should
help
ask.
is like covering the gaps in your coverage?
Yeah.
Because
And is FEMA really for that, or is that truly an
think so.
emergency situation?
I think it's an emergency. Someone doesn't have the resources or the coverage.
Could be.
Would be my guess.
But is you being like, let's say, undercovered by your insurance really FEMA's problem?
No.
So if I say, as a homeowner, I'm just going to opt out of roof coverage, or it's like wind coverage, right? I'm just going to opt out because I want a lower premium, and then I really do have wind damage. A hurricane comes, and I'm missing like 80% of my shingles. I just call FEMA, and they cover my roof cost. It can't possibly be that easy. Yeah. No. So maybe that's not it. It's not to cover gaps in insurance. Maybe it's only income based.
I think that's a big component.
Yeah.
And that's not a plan. Like, FEMA should not be part of your plan. Emergency
services should never be part of your plan.
Never.
Yeah. I actually have a funny story about that. Not really that funny, but there's a podcast out there that just reads like Reddit stories. Okay. So
I love Reddit.
Yes. So there's the really popular thread on Reddit, like, am I the asshole? Right? Okay, so they're reading a story from that thread, or from that subreddit, am I the asshole? And this woman is basically saying how she takes her kids to the pool. She has 3 kids, 8, 5, and 3. Mm-hmm. And she lets the 8 and the 5-year-old do their own thing, and she just stays with the 3-year-old. Mm-hmm. And the last time she went to the pool, the lifeguard gave her a really hard time, because the lifeguard said, hey, all 3 of your kids need to be within arm's reach at all times that you're in the pool. Okay. And she basically countered and was like, no, they don't. I'm going to be with my 3-year-old who doesn't know how to swim, but my 8 and 5-year-old do. They're fine. Yeah. I will be with my 3-year-old. And then she basically, because the lifeguard kept pressing her to do this, she was like, look, if my kids drown, that's what you're here for. And ultimately, that's where she lost all credibility. Yeah. Because people said, that's not what lifeguards are there for. And along that same line, right? That's not what emergency services are there for.
That's not what FEMA's there for.
That's not what FEMA's there for. That's not what anybody's there for, right?
You can't lean on them so strongly.
You can't. You can't say, and when they were discussing this story, a lot of people were saying, just all sorts of examples, but they're like, you don't start a fire just because there's firefighters. That's not what they're there for. Yeah, like, they're not there for your amusement, in the sense where, like, you can be reckless and just know that somebody's going to.
If you're camping at a campsite, you should take the proper precautions to make sure your fire is safe.
Correct.
And if your precautions aren't adequate, and it does get out of hand, yeah, you have someone to call. But don't have your campsite, you have the fire, and like, let's go play volleyball over here, and I can't even see the fire. Yeah. Because it'll be fine. There's firefighters. Yeah. That's kind of what you're describing.
Yeah, yeah. Or again, you also can't just be like, yeah, I'm not going to watch my kids because a lifeguard is here and they'll watch my kids. That's not what they're there for. Not at all.
There's a in between.
I don't know.
Like, I don't know if she needs to be holding all 3 of her kids' hands the whole time.
Also, they're pretty young though. 8, 5, and 3. Like,
I think 5 is
5 for sure. And also, when she was kind of going back for the lifeguard, she kept telling the lifeguard that her 8-year-old was watching her 5-year-old, which again lost more credibility. Yeah, it's like, I would say kids can't watch kids.
Where's your husband? That's my first question. But like, okay, there's a 3-year-old that needs constant attention. Yeah. But the other 2 need some sort of supervision, and you can't do both. Then you can't go unless another adult is with you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or you have a 16-year-old. Like, 16 is probably a good.
I mean, the lifeguard is probably 16.
Yeah. Yeah. So bring your own 16-year-old.
Exactly.
Get a cousin.
Yeah. Basically. But either way, all that to say, because I think that's a great example of when these storms come, you can't just like throw your hands in the air and say, I'm not going to do anything, because at the end of the day, emergency services will respond. No, that's not what they're there for. They're not there for you to be reckless. They're not there for you to not take the proper precautions or prepare in the right way. they're there because you did all the right preparations and something unfortunate still happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, we can look into like the FEMA thing to see exactly how FEMA operates, because that's another thing too. Like, don't just rely on FEMA. Don't just rely on FEMA coming in and taking care of everything.
It just reminded me of a story that happened yesterday, actually. So Pam works from home, and we have a neighbor. It's a rental, so we've seen like different tenants, whatever. They used to park in the grass next to the house, and it kind of like sinks a little, and that house floods pretty bad. So the landlord was like, "Hey, don't park there anymore."
Sure.
There's actually a new guy in there now, and just from the beginning, he just never parked there. So now that's kind of like solved. But Pam looks out the window of the kitchen and sees there's a car parked there.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, that's weird. You know, I thought they kind of told them not to do it. The grass has grown back now. You know, it's just not a good idea. If you park there and it rained, you might get stuck.
Oh, yeah.
I think, yeah, we saw them get stuck, the old tenants once.
Oh, no.
But, so anyway, she sees this car. It's like this older guy and a young girl. And she's like, huh, maybe our neighbor, like, they're visiting him. But she's like, it doesn't seem that kind of weird. Anyway, I'm at my other neighbor's house this morning across the street. And they're doing like a building in the back of their house. So they have a permit and the NOC. So I notarized the NOC for them.
Mm-hmm.
And she brought it up. And it's like, oh, did you see what happened across the street? I'm like, no, but Kim was mentioning this car parked there. It's kind of weird. I thought they weren't parking there. She's like, let me show you my Ring camera.
Oh my gosh.
So
I love Ring cameras.
He's parked, and they have a ton. So he's
they have a ton of Ring cameras?
Yeah. They have, he's parked up front.
Okay.
And you see this red car turn the corner, and then just kind of like hits his car and turns into that spot.
Oh no.
Like aggressive. So what happened was this guy's teaching his daughter how to drive.
Oh no.
So he thinks, driving around the neighborhood, for whatever reason, she like pulls this hard turn, swipes his car, like cracks his bumper, our neighbor, and then like flies into the side of the house. Like the area, not the actual house.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's all sorts of like parking on the street, one of the big risks. But I was just like, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Luckily, he has like she sent to him the video. He has a video he can literally send to his insurance company. But I mean, they could have kept going, like so many things.
So the guy whose car was hit, it was his daughter that was driving?
No.
Oh, these are two separate families.
Completely random guy teaching his daughter. He probably lives like somewhere nearby.
I gotcha.
And they don't live on our street. They were just going through our neighborhood.
Gotcha.
Like it's a pretty quiet street.
Yeah.
And just happened to hit his car and swerve into the grass next to his house.
Oh no.
Which it could have been way worse.
Absolutely.
And that's right next to it. They could have like hit our fence.
Yeah. Definitely.
I was watching that video this morning. I was like,
yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. But I was talking to my cousin too about just like car insurance because his wife is like looking for, new car insurance. And I was just like going back to the process with him. Like, okay, what is your problem? What's your concerns? Realistically, what do you need in coverage? Because it's not, let me just find the cheapest thing. Like in Florida, for example, I was saying they live in Oregon, so it's probably not as bad as there as it is here. But in Florida, you always hear about there's so many uninsured motorists.
I thought you had to have insurance in Florida.
You do, but it still doesn't change the fact that there are a lot of uninsured motorists.
Yeah. And
so a popular thing in Florida is on your policy to include that. Like if somebody hits you and they don't have insurance, you have coverage still.
Gotcha.
Like, because it's 100% their fault. You experience damage.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that uninsured motorist like policy in place, you're just on your own.
I didn't even know. I did not know about that. I'm gonna check my policy.
Yeah, it's on there, I'm sure.
Probably.
Who do you have?
Geico.
Okay. Maria.
Okay.
But I know she went over it with me, and she was like, "This is a big thing."
A good agent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She like explained everything,
Mm-hmm.
so I had like a brief like a general understanding of what could and couldn't like be a claim. But yeah, that's a big one for us in Florida.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, know your environment. For them in Portland, that's probably not as big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
But
also know your driving habits, because I would say, right, just like we talked about, there's a lane for everything. So if you're barely driving, like maybe you don't need, certain coverages, right? Like if you, kind of just drop your kids off at school and come back.
And that's your discount there too, because we just updated ours because Pam's working from home now, and so because she doesn't like pass a certain threshold of miles per year, our premium is lower on her car specifically. Yeah. Same coverage, all that stuff.
Right.
So like something happens, she's still covered, but her car's in the garage.
Yeah.
She doesn't need to drive it as much.
Exactly.
So if a big part of your concern is budget, maybe that's a place for you to save money, but not uninsured motorists.
Because again, somebody teaching their kids to drive could randomly
even our cars in the garage, they could literally hit the garage and the car. Like you could have a Ford 20 more yards.
Right.
That same turn would be into my garage.
Yeah. But again, all sorts of weird accidents happen all the time.
Yeah.
Just all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so hurricane season, what's your homework?
Yeah. If we're talking about hurricane season, your homework, I would say, is really evaluate your situation.
Yeah.
This is my house. This is my setup. These are the risks around me. I don't have a tree. My neighbor does, right? Let me take a picture of it, what it looks like now, and start to think about what preventative things I can do. Because even if your neighbor has a tree, once it goes over your property line, it's your responsibility. A lot of people don't know. So like, I have one neighbor to the side of us, and a lot of stuff grows over towards us. Like, I had something like almost resting on my roof, and I the other day cut back to where the fence is, because their irresponsible approach to their landscaping can affect me. And so I think it just starts with bringing it back to the process, the problem.
Yeah.
What are the potential problems? What is a risk of becoming a problem for me specifically? And then what is my process to document them and address them if they become problems?
Yeah.
And
also, I heard this recently, is projectiles. So if the projectile can be traced back to you or your house, it is your responsibility.
Really?
Yes. So
if I don't bring in my outdoor furniture and it goes across the street and hits them, that makes sense though.
If you don't secure your outdoor furniture, it becomes a projectile storm and shatters your neighbor's window, that is not your fault. So secure your furniture. Yeah, but again, back to what you're saying, it's really just evaluate your home, evaluate what you have, and make a plan for what to do with it. So again, outdoor furniture, either secure it or bring it inside. And anything else you have that you think could potentially become a projectile, just secure it or get rid of it.
And then obviously there's people, like who are the people that I can call on, whether it's loved ones to check in, but people to call to assist me if I need it, or who can I, it's nice to be able to help your neighbors as well.
Yeah.
And then
it's good to get those contacts now before you're in a panic. So find your insurance policy, write down your agent's phone number, have a copy of your policy. Any other just important documents as well.
Also, just probably read through your policy to know
in
what
the
you
general
have,
sense,
refresh. But then when it comes to price, I mean, there's a price in your policy and what you pay for it, but your belongings on the inside, back to that video of everything on the inside.
And the
ceiling, like, kind of, I don't think you should keep the receipts of everything, like your TV, but know generally what you paid for it.
Yeah.
So when you document it, and if it does get damaged, you can be like, hey, my TV's $800.
Yeah.
And here's the video of before, and this is what it looks like now after the storm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, documentation is key. That actually would probably be the number one thing. that I would say if you don't do anything on our list, at least document your house, interior, exterior, vehicles. Just document whatever you would actually expect to get replaced in the event that it's damaged.
And just like you shouldn't rely on FEMA or the firefighter if you're camping, you can't rely on your neighbor's ring camera just like happening to capture the video of your car getting swiped.
Exactly.
Like, that's not a plan.
Yeah, exactly.
And
you should be having that documentation yourself. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Don't get on your roof. But again, if you can, kind of step a little bit further away and take some pictures of your roof, that's a good idea too.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's good homework for everybody to do just in general as we start to get into hurricane season.
Yeah.
I'm going to say homework season.
Not homework season. Yeah,
it's always homework season.
It's always homework season. Just some
always do homework.
Always do homework. Even for your shop vacs.
Yeah, I have to do some homework on my shop vac.
But yeah, no, that I don't think that's overwhelming. I think that's a kind of easily digestible list of things to do. And I mean, we all have smartphones these days, so just take out your camera or take out your phone, take a quick video, and you
document,
identify, make a list of some trusted people around you that can take care of you in the event of some damage. Have fun.
Get good snacks.
Get the right snacks. The right games. And it's going to be a fun season.
Well, I hope it's been valuable for everybody.
Yeah.
And don't forget to do your homework.